Welcome to the Immigration Report. We have major news in regards to the Trump administration's push for mass deportations, how this is changing in real time to more surgical operations. What does this mean for you? What does it mean for the country? Also, there has been another deadly crash by an illegal alien driving a semi-truck that caused the death of American citizens, and a lot more that we're going to cover throughout today's video. Also, if you want daily immigration updates without the bias, without the agenda, please consider subscribing. Let us get into it, starting with this interview from the president in regards to the drawdown that we're seeing in Minneapolis.
Okay, let's drill down into the news today. That big change on immigration, 700 officers leaving Minneapolis. Did that come from you?
Yes, it did. But it didn't come from me because I just wanted to do it. We are waiting for them to release prisoners, give us the murderers that they're holding, and all of the bad people, drug dealers, all of the bad people. We allowed in our country, I say 25 million people with an open border policy for 4 years under Biden and that group, the auto pen group, I call them. We allowed to come into our country people the likes of which no country would accept, and we're getting them out. Yeah. But we've gotten a lot of them out. So crime now in Minnesota, crime now in Minneapolis is down. Crime in all cities is down. And you know why it's down? It's down because of us. It's down in Chicago by 25%, despite the fact that we are always dealing with these people, and they happen to be Democrats that don't know anything about crime prevention.
So as you can see, the president was asked about the drawdown that we're currently seeing in Minneapolis, because what happened is that during Operation Metro Surge is that 3,000 federal agents went in there to essentially deport all the illegal aliens, the undocumented individuals that were in Minneapolis that were committing a whole bunch of fraud. And what we saw the city try to resist with a whole bunch of chaos, with people out there protesting, with people out there causing agitation and try to impede with ICE and federal law enforcement. And then Tom Homan was sent into Minneapolis to get the city under control. And he's currently doing that because they demanded that local authorities work with ICE to hand over their criminals, their illegal aliens that have committed a crime that are in local jails. And now we see that working out. And here's Tom Homan speaking on that drawdown.
Given this increase in unprecedented collaboration, and as a result of the need for less law enforcement officers to do this work in a safer environment, I have announced effective immediately we will draw down 700 people effective today. 700 law enforcement personnel.
So what you're seeing is typical of any operation. You go in with an overwhelming force to achieve your objective. And I would say that that objective have been achieved in Minneapolis, where essentially they got rid of a whole bunch of criminals. And I'll get into those numbers later. Then Tom Homan was sent in with a more diplomatic approach, because remember, Greg Bovino went in as a commander on the ground, and what we saw a whole bunch of roving patrols where they were snatching up everyone, and essentially anyone that they suspected of being an illegal alien was stopped, and they scooped up a lot of illegal aliens and they got deported as a result of that. And then we saw 2 people getting shot. When Tom Homan went in, he was sent in with a more diplomatic approach to get this situation, get the city under control. And now we're seeing local authorities actually starting to comply with ICE. And here's Tom Homan speaking more on that.
My goal with the support of President Trump is to achieve a complete drawdown and end this surge as soon as we can. But that is largely contingent upon the end of the illegal and threatening activities against ICE and its federal partners that we're seeing in the community.
So even though the Trump administration hasn't done a complete withdrawal, because remember, there were 3,000 federal agents that were sent in, and they pulled back 700. Now there's roughly 2,300 to 2,400 agents left in Minneapolis. Even though they haven't done a complete withdrawal, there will still be more agents operating. And what Tom Homan is saying here is that in order for a complete drawdown, where there's just a regular amount of agents in Minneapolis conducting deportations, then guess what? The illegal and violent actions against ICE needs to end, and then we'll go back to a state of normalcy. And a lot of people have been questioning this decision by the Trump administration to do a drawdown. And here's the president. He was asked about this because a lot of people see this as a retreat from mass deportation. And here's the president on that.
I have a question about immigration still looking forward now. Your goal during the election was to deport everyone who came here illegally under President Biden. Is your mission now to deport everyone who came in illegally, or just people who have come in illegally who have also committed additional crimes?
We are totally focused on criminals, really bad criminals. Now, you could say people that came in illegally are criminals, but I'm talking about murderers from different countries. We have 11,888 murderers that Biden and his group led into our country. We've captured a lot of them. We've brought some of them back. A lot of them we don't want to bring back because we don't trust the country that they're not sent back again.
Yeah.
Despite how strong the borders are, they'll figure a way to try and get in, and we don't want to, and we'll incarcerate them. But 11,888 murders.
Yeah.
We are after those people. We're after the drug dealers.
Right.
We're after by the way, a big problem, they allowed to come into our country people from their mental institutions, people from insane asylums that are mentally ill and very dangerous.
So as you can see, the president was asked about those critiques where people are criticizing him from pulling back from mass deportations to just focusing on just criminals. And that's literally what he stated. He stated that, hey, we're now going to start focusing on the criminals, mostly on the criminals. In my opinion, if you ask me, is this a shift in policy? I would say no, because the thing is, what you have to do, you have to watch what a leader does and not what they say. Because I think what happened initially, everyone is on board. The polls are in favor of the president doing mass deportations, right? But the thing is, a lot of people aren't comfortable with what they're seeing, especially what's being portrayed in the media, regardless of however you feel about it. People are not comfortable with seeing the clash between ICE and regular civilian, regular protesters. Regardless of whoever is right, people just aren't comfortable seeing that in American streets. Now, what the Trump administration is doing is a shift in messaging. They're saying they're mainly going to target the criminals, which they've been doing from day one. But at the end of the day, what the Trump administration is doing, because I'm going to do a video that covers this, they've been hiring a whole bunch of agents. I think they brought on roughly 10,000 new agents in last year, and they've been buying up a whole bunch of warehouses and a whole bunch of facilities to convert to detention centers. Right, so mass deportation is going to continue. And here's Tom Homan. He was asked the same question, and he confirmed that mass deportation isn't off the table. Take a look.
People are, I think, understandably skeptical on the right, and many on the left, but the MAGA types say, like, don't back down. Mass deportation is what Trump ran on, and now it seems like we hear targeted raids, and so that it gives a lot of his hardcore supporters concern. Tonight, what can you tell us about that?
We're not backing down at all. I said today mass deportations will continue. And I said, no, if illegal aliens are not off the table. Look, the normal footprint here is less than 150 agents. We got 2,400 boots on the ground here. And we're going to continue to force the immigration law. I'm out there tonight. We're forcing the immigration law. What we said from day one, January 20th, from day one, President Trump and I and other people in the administration said, we're going to prioritize the public safety threats, because that makes the most sense, because they pose the most danger. But we're not, we've arrested a lot of illegal aliens. Look at the numbers, over 700,000 deportations, which is a record for this agency. And 70% of those being criminals. I think that's a better stat than saying we arrested 700,000, deport them, and 70% were non-criminals. No, makes perfect sense for the safety and security of this country, because President Trump promised to make this country safe again. Mass deportations are here. They're coming. We're already breaking records, and we're not going to stop. If you're in the country illegally, we're looking for you. We're going to arrest you, and we're going to deport you. Nothing's changed.
So as you can see, Tom Homan just confirmed that mass deportations will continue. You might not see ICE out there clashing with protesters, clashing with civilians, doing those roving patrols like we saw in Minneapolis. You'll see something completely different. They'll move a little bit more silent, but still, they'll still be rounding up and deporting illegal aliens. And here's J.D. Vance. He was asked about the same thing in regards to the Trump administration pulling back from mass deportations.
The right, I think, wants all illegals gone. Of course. And actually, the polls show that the majority of the American people still want that.
Yes.
They want all of the illegals gone, not just the ones who have committed additional crimes upon getting here. And I think a lot of us are wondering, what is the plan for getting them?
So I kind of like that our side is so insistent on this issue. I like the pressure. I like people saying, we recognize you've done a lot, now do more. I think that's kind of how this should work, is that fundamentally, the president and I and the entire administration, we work for the American people. And so I hear these complaints, I hear these criticisms. I guess I'd say a couple things. So first of all, again, you have an entire legal landscape, but also a deportation enforcement mechanism. All of these additional ICE officers that we brought in as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill. That's getting online now.
So they're not going to Minneapolis.
Well, some of them will. Some of them
Homan just
will.
announced a drawdown of 700 troops out there.
Homan announced a partial drawdown, but because the local authorities are cooperating with him. And this is why it's important to segregate, what are we talking about, immigration enforcement or everything else? We're not drawing down immigration enforcement. We're drawing down some of the federal officers that were helping the guys doing immigration enforcement. And this is what I think, frankly, the far left and also some of our guys on the right didn't fully appreciate. When Homan says we're drawing 700 people down, those are the people who were protecting the ICE officers as they went out and did deportations and immigration enforcement. Most of the people that we have in Minneapolis, they're not doing immigration enforcement. That's true even after the 700 drawdown. Most of them are protecting the immigration officers from the mob that's forming around them. So as we get more and more cooperation from Minneapolis and from the state of Minnesota, and we are starting to get real cooperation from them in a way that we haven't, we don't want people there doing effectively police work so that they can protect our immigration officers. We want the immigration officers to go and do their work, and if they get into a problem, they can call local police. As that happens, I think you're going to see some of that law enforcement shifting to the local police, which is exactly what we wanted. And
so basically, the vice president confirmed what I just said. As long as you have these corporations, you will not see ICE out there clashing and doing roving patrols and clashing with protesters. What you'll see more targeted, more surgical operations to get these violent criminals out of the country. And Minneapolis has been working with the Trump administration, but if you listen to their politicians, you'll think they're not working with the Trump administration because they want to put on a show like they're putting on a fight, like they're putting up a fight. Because initially, when Operation Metro Surge started and ICE went into Minneapolis, they put up a fight. And unfortunately, you had people that died as a result of that. And as I said, Tom Homan went in to essentially be more diplomatic and get the situation under control. But even though he's been working with these individuals, like the governor Tim Walz and Jacob Frey, who's the mayor of Minneapolis, they still get in front of a camera and still try to put up a tough fight. And here's Jacob Frey essentially trying to demand that ICE should leave Minneapolis completely.
President Trump said in an interview that a softer touch is required. What do you say to President Trump?
He's right that a softer touch has been required. The drawdown of both federal agents as well as the implementation of body cameras is obviously a step in the right direction. That being said, the continued presence of 2,000 federal agents in a city that only has 600 police officers is still not de-escalation. So we have been very clear that Operation Metro Surge needs to end. The restoration of peace, of safety, the rejuvenation of small local businesses throughout our city depends on one main thing, which is for ICE to leave, and so that continues to be our position.
So the only way Operation Metro Surge is going to end is when all the illegal aliens are deported, especially the criminals, the worst of the worst, when they're deported, and Vice President J.D. Vance just confirmed that. But if you, as the mayor, you want control over the situation, you don't want ICE roving the streets, then guess what you got to do? You just got to start cooperating with them. Give them access to all the jails so they can essentially work with local authorities to get these criminals deported. And here are the numbers that came as a result of Operation Metro Surge. How many criminals they got off the street.
DHS says federal agents have arrested some 4,000 illegal aliens in Minnesota since the launch of Operation Metro Surge late last year. And on removing the worst of the worst from America's neighborhoods, that remains the focus.
So as you can see, drug dealers, terrorists, gang leaders, a whole bunch of different people that were arrested, a whole bunch of different illegal aliens that were arrested. And these are the people that Democrats, they're trying to protect. Now let us move on to our next story, which sounds familiar because another illegal alien obtained a driver's license, a commercial driver's license, and was driving and caused the death of American citizens. Let's take a look at that reporting.
Also, ICE says an illegal immigrant from Kyrgyzstan is responsible for killing 4 people in a head-on crash in Indiana. On Tuesday, authorities say a 30-year-old trucker swerved into oncoming traffic to avoid another vehicle, hitting a van with 4 people inside. This is the latest in a string of high-profile crashes involving immigrant semi-drivers.
So as you can see, this individual entered the country roughly 18 months ago using the CBP One app, which is an app that was ran by Homeland Security under the Biden administration. All you had to do was go on, sign up on it, and then you get access to the United States. It's like an Airbnb or like an Uber or something like that. You just go on it, you sign up, and you get a fast-track ticket to the United States. That is how that worked. But that individual came to the United States as an illegal, essentially in Pennsylvania, didn't have their documentations, got a commercial driver's license for some reason, doubt that he spoke English, just like what we saw with other instances, right? And caused the death of 4 American citizens in Indiana. So as you can see, this is happening way too often, where illegal aliens that actually comes to this country doesn't know how to speak English, doesn't know the laws or anything like that. Then they're issued a license to operate this huge vehicle, and they proceeds to cause the death of more Americans, which is unfortunate. And that is what's wrong, because it gives a bad name to immigration overall. People that actually comes to this country, people that knows English, people that participate within the American society. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Let me know what you think in the comment section in regards to the Trump administration's shift in priorities to target illegal aliens. And do you think mass deportation is that, or will it continue? Also, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you.